former secretary, distinguished delegates and guests. Great pleasure to be here. 5G is alive, indeed so. Nowadays, consumers can go into a shop and buy a good smartphone and enjoy 5G services. And industries are already in the deployment phase. It all started in April. Then we saw launches with good devices and offerings to consumers. South Korea went live, same day United States went live. Soon afterwards, Swisscom in Europe as well launched. Korea today, we see over 1.4 million users. Bear in mind, a good smartphone then in excess of $1,000. United States operators are seeing a phenomenal performance leap, 10 to 40 times higher speeds than in 4G, partially thanks to the high frequencies and very large bandwidths. And in Switzerland then, we see Swisscom now going for nationwide coverage. 90% pop coverage already in a few months, thanks to deploying, in addition to the 3.5 gigahertz, 5G as well on existing 1800 megahertz bands. They do so by momentarily, on a millisecond basis, sharing 4G and 5G on the same resource, thanks to Ericsson's dynamic spectrum sharing. Let's take a 5-year outlook. This is not GSMA, it's Ericsson Mobility Report. We're slightly more bullish than GSMA, but I humbly argue we've been conservative over the years. You can see in 2024, 1.9 billion 5G subscriptions, we argue. That's, we say, then 22% of all the subscriptions. Traffic-wise, have a look down at the lower right-hand side, 5 times more traffic in total. The 22% 5G users, we say, amount to 35% of the load in 2024. That 35% is more than all of the traffic generated last year over the world. And for me, that's quite some insight. In only 5 years' time, 5G will deliver more than the traffic generated last year. So if I'm regulator, I would say, open up spectrum as much as you can. And if I'm operator, I'd say, start to build coverage. It will be needed. Use cases will come. The users are there. They want to use 5G. So in 5G, we will have massive enhanced mobile broadband. We will have fixed wireless access. We will have IoT, and we will have critical IoT. All these together will be part of the Industry 4.0. Industries will use all of them, some with very critical demands, some with more bulk data that needs to be transferred. Some use cases you can see here. On the upper right-hand side, you see BMW on a racetrack together with Ericsson at speeds of 170 kilometers an hour. They race through, and during handover, they get speeds in excess of 3 gigabits per second. What they're going to use it for, I don't know. But I know their research engineers knows what kind of connectivity they can expect in the future. And they are now thinking on how to exploit this. Products will be connected, and the providers of the products will be able to diagnose and optimize the products throughout their lifetime, thanks to always being connected. And we're only starting to see the potential of this. But not only industries want it, consumer wants it. Ericsson recently did a study. In over 30 countries, we talked and interviewed people. What are their predictions and expectations on 5G? 3 top ones: consistent high speeds, new applications and services, and trusted network. Consumer wants faster and more reliable speeds. Too often in today's networks, there's congestion and sometimes a dip in performance. They want to have predictability. They want to do more immersive content, and they also want to have trust. Not viruses. They want it to be there. They want it to be reliable. Interestingly, when we ask industries what's important for them, well, consistent service. They will have new applications, of course, and they want trust. not only security, they want trust. They're putting their production facility in your hands. And you need to ensure that you have the trust they can rely on you. Now, for the consumers, we looked at when do they want something and how much do they like it. Near term, you can see its performance. The size of the bubbles shows their desire to pay more. Over time, if you look through these, I say the theme is media. It's AR, VR, video rich. We predict in 2024, 74% of all the traffic is video related. The willingness to pay there. Well, we also asked them to say how eager are they to pay more. And the result here in India was very fascinating. We saw among the respondents and its early adopters, 66% premium. Fantastic, if that can be materialized, I would say. Now, in India, what does it mean? Again, up till 24, we predict a CAGR of 11% in smartphone traffic. We predict 500 million smartphones to be added. So from the about 600 million to 1.1 billion. Fantastic uptake and change in how the networks will be used. In total, 4 times the traffic load. Now, for operators to deliver this, the new equipment needs to be efficient. And indeed so, we've heard already today some of the techniques with massive MIMO, spectral efficiency, and so forth. And then, of course, as I said, the ability to excite 5G technology on the current 4G spectrum so that you can optimize the usage. All of that adds up to efficiency improvements that will help to make sure the investment is affordable and sustainable. Coming back to the industrial segments, over a number of years now, Ericsson has worked with a number of leading companies throughout the world and trying to understand their business. Not primarily educating them about 5G, but we want to understand how their businesses are. And then we can see how we can serve them with the wireless technology. A number of areas are here. Some examples then. Upper left-hand side, you see a driverless truck already conducting trials on public roads. So really not only doing remote operation, but entirely removing the need for human interaction. Still not a ready product, but has a lot of potential, of course. Lower left-hand side, robotics, working with companies such as ABB and Komai. One example, Komai is car manufacturing. Now, in the port of Qingdao, we're deployed a 5G system, and you have these enormous, gigantic cranes. Each crane has about 30 video cameras, high definition. And that's to monitor the loading and offloading of containers. Today, they're connected with a fiber. What's the glitch with fiber? Well, they break. So you want a wireless connection. So here's an application where you have a large, intensive uplink with video feeds from each crane and then remotely being operated. 5G show, as we've seen so far, turns out to be very well administrating this. Another example that was published a few weeks ago, Mercedes-Benz, together with Telefonica Germany and Ericsson, will now deploy 5G in the reference factory. And I think this is very thoughtful. A private 5G network will be deployed in one of the world's leading car manufacturers. They are betting on 5G. They're betting their production facility on the solution that we will provide together with Telefonica Germany. They're putting their trust on us. They're putting their faith in us that their production facility will run smoother and better, no interrupts in the future. So what are industry expectations on 5G? Here are some key findings that we found. Of course, you need industry-grade solutions. You can't have consumer-grade, it's industry-grade in very different environments, I should say. One of the partners we have is a mining company. It's quite a different environment, 400 meters below ground, I can tell you. You need to connect and position large amount of equipment. Goods coming in, you need to know where it is on the factory floor. In a car manufacturing plant, they are downloading software to a number of the cars in parallel. Turns out to be a bit of a capacity challenge, but can be done. High level of data security, absolutely, right? Intrusion has to be avoided. Any kind of glitches in the production must be avoided. So security is there, and also detecting if something is happening. Ease of configuration and maintenance. Turns out many of the industries, at least to begin with, want to operate their small networks themselves, partially because of trust. They think they can do it better. And then, of course, the system has to be manageable for them. Then, support for long investment cycles. Trust me, if you build a factory, you don't switch that as quickly as consumers switch a smartphone. And important then, global solutions for global players. We have industrial partners who say, we own and operate all the equipment in our factory. We have one reference factory, 30 factories around the world. So we need to have global setups that can be managed locally and globally according to what the industry needs. What it boils down to is that industries are now going into 5G. And I think a message I say in every country where I am is consumers want 5G and industries want 5G. Now, if one country delays the introduction of 5G, the risk is, of course, that the local industry doesn't start in time. Countries where 5G is now live and kicking, industries are onto it. I mentioned one big German company who's already taken the decision. They're going in there, they have a head-on start. And my strong encouragement here in India, of course, is to make sure that your local industry can reap the benefits of 5G as well, as quickly as possible. So the technology is there. Here you can quickly see some radio technology, left-hand side, a prototype a few years ago. Now it's commercial, high frequency radio. It's a 512 branch radio. Few steps up on the ladder. The 5G gear that we're finally testing and delivering now. On the right-hand side, a concept that we showed recently. It's radio stripes that our research engineers are working on. Perhaps in the future, you can roll it out, bring out your tape, and deploy it for better indoor coverage. It's a concept, but like the left-hand side was a concept 5 years ago, we're now delivering it to our customers. So finally, 5G live and kicking, the market is there, consumers are signing up, industries are signing up. Strong need for the 5G solutions to take care of the oncoming traffic, to deliver the security, to deliver the trust, and to drive digitization. We're there, we're serving 18 operators today in Asia, Australia, Europe, and North America on all 5G frequencies live so far, 3.5, 28, 39 gigahertz, and introducing it on the existing bands as well. And again, all the potential is there for consumers and industries. And I think enormous potential here to drive 5G introduction in India. Thank you very much for your attention.